Right, I've been compelled. Here I am. Been coaxed by the idea of a raid. The mere idea has led me to go back on my values of staring at my computer screen expressionless and not speaking while I read. But I will abide. So right now, I am trying to fix all of the errors that I just introduced in my code in this new chapter. Everything is throwing parse state. Wow, I can't talk. Everything is throwing parse errors. Hey, welcome everybody. Hello, viewer. Hello, audience member, community member, Biniar. Oh, what a surprise. It's literally still on my screen. You can see. Welcome everybody who's joining. So I'm doing crafting interpreters. Oh, thanks for the follow, Biniar. .com. Following this book. I'm writing an interpreter for a language that the author has made called Locks. The author is doing it in JavaScript. All right, have a good dinner. Thanks for the raid. I appreciate you. So, yeah, so the author does this interpreter in Java first, and then later redoes another interpreter in C that's more in-depth, and I'm just doing it in TypeScript first, and then I'll be doing it in Rust for the C portion. Thanks for the follow, Gently. Welcome. So this chapter is on statements and state. So I had an interpreter about 20 minutes ago. I had an interpreter that totally did math. Maybe it's still here. You'll believe me that my interpreter performed these complicated maths. Also, I wonder if dark mode looks okay. Okay, yeah, that's much better. But right now it's totally broken. Actually, it might do like print 5 times 3 maybe. Semicolon? Nope, totally doesn't work. So here, we could try it again. So I've just introduced all these bugs. Hey, that did work. I did print 5 times 7, 3. Wow. Print 5 times 3, and I got some math. Yay, math. So it's partially working, but all of my tests are broken. Because before it was just doing expressions like 5 times 3, but now it wants statements. Print 5 times 3, semicolon. And I'm struggling to figure out why this particular test in my parser is broken. This looks close. Oh, it wants an array. So we're so close here. Hey, thanks for the follow, Jay Hemp. Appreciate you and welcome to the channel. So I think that if I wrap this in an array, when I hit save, this will go from 9 to 8. That's my hope. 9 to 8. Hey, look at that. Okay, next one. I think I just have to do this really boring transformation on all these tests now, which is to first add a semicolon. So let me save this because I'm going to put it everywhere. And everywhere that I have this list of tokens in my parser, if anyone has any questions about what I'm doing, I am happy to continue to explain. What is an interpreter? What is TypeScript? What is love? but please, baby, don't hurt me. Okay, I'm just going through everywhere I see tokens. I'm gonna add a semicolon at the end because we're just changing all these tests that were expression based to instead be statement based, and statements, as everyone knows, need to end with a semicolon. Okay, so that's part one of the things I need to do. The next thing I need to do is where it says, where I have expect to equal new AST node, I then need to change that to wrap that in all this business. So I'm going to save this now for easy copying and pasting, and hopefully I can do this with kind of a macro. So, okay, I'm performing a Vim macro, which I'm not good at, especially on camera, but I will attempt it. So I want to go to the E of equal, and then the, oh, I've messed it up already. Hold on. Okay. To the E of equal, then to a semicolon. This is where I need to be. Then I need to take everything in these parentheses and wrap them in, first I'm going to wrap them in another set of parentheses. Then I'm going to paste that. Nope. I'm going to paste that in front of those parentheses I just added. Then I'm going to do everything in these parentheses again. I'm going to wrap them in a square bracket. Okay, if I've defined a macro, I hope I go from 8 to 7 now. That's the goal. Hey, 8 to 7. Okay. Now I will attempt my macro again. No. That looks like it works, but it is poorly formatted. Hey, okay. Macros for the win. The formatting is not really great, but I'm happy with passing tests for now, I think. And the formatting is not so terrible. Okay, this is a different one. So this is here. I get a parse error on no left-hand side for binary. Okay, so I'm looking for this really specific error to be thrown. And it looks like I'm getting a different kind of error. Oh, Okay, I think this one is just temporarily not going to work at all. So this is like if I have, usually when you have greater than or equal, you have like 5 is greater than or equal to 3. Hey, thanks for the follow, Bird Baby Earl. I like the name. And welcome to the channel. So let's see. Print 5 is greater than or equal to 3. Does that work? Yeah, so that's true. But if I do print 5 is, or without a 5 there, just greater than or equal to 3. Actually, I can't even hit enter. My whole thing's borked. I've angered the gods. Let me try it again. Print greater than or equal to 3. Wow, it won't even let me hit enter. What's going on? Oh my gosh, look at all this. Okay, this is the really specific error I was looking for, but I'm obviously getting all of these insane errors. Or I guess this uncaught error. I used to have error handling. In this chapter, I tore out all of the error handling, and this is what it got me. So apparently, supposedly, further down in this chapter, we will be putting back in more error handling. But for right now, we're kind of like in this bad state where if an error happens in parsing, then the whole thing just breaks. But I guess I'm going to have to just live with that for now, except for on this test that I really want to pass, I can throw all this in a try catch, or I can say, Or I can disable this test. Or it x, exit, exit, right? I'm using jest for, okay, I think that did disable one of these. So let me write, so I don't commit this to do, this should work once error handling is back in place. Okay. What else is broken? In my interpreter tests, here we have, okay, all of the rest of my failures are in the interpreter, and they're all the same exact thing, which is statements is not iterable. Let's look at how we're doing this. Okay, so my interpreter tests, I'm then taking an array, not an array, a tree of, when I was doing the expression based thing, just passing passing to the interpreter a tree of nodes. And thank you for the follow, Aristotle. Oh, good. Hope I got that. I think I aced it. So we basically need to do the same transformation that we did to the result of the tests for my parser to the input of the tests for my interpreter tests, because that's the connection point there. Like I can show you in the runner, it literally goes, take the output of the parser, or no, take the output of the parser here, which is a bunch of statements, and throw them in the interpreter. And thank you for the follow, Zen Gardener bot. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to an interpreter that is not working right now, or it's not working perfectly. Okay. So in my interpreter tests, I want to do exactly what I did in my parser test. So let me just grab what I did over there. First, I'll need this. Sorry, not that. This is not the test. This is the class. Parser test, please. Thank you. I'm gonna grab this. And then I think I still have this in my register P. Yes, so, okay. Go back to interpreter test. And here, everywhere, do we need, I don't think we actually need, no, we didn't need the semicolon at all. That was only for the input to the parser. So here I will do the same thing again, but I need to change, I think I need to change my macro a little bit. I'll try my macro and see if it works. Why not? That did not seem to work. And now it won't undo at all either. Did that make, that like made a whole new buffer? I don't even know what this is. I don't know what just happened, but it wasn't what I wanted. So we'll make a new macro. Everything inside the parentheses, we want to wrap in a parentheses, another set of parentheses. Then we want to print. And then again, inside the outer parentheses, we want to wrap that in square brackets. Oh, I did that wrong. I think I might have screwed up my macro. Okay, we need to import this guy here. If anyone has any questions about what I'm doing, I would love to hear them. Maybe I can answer them, maybe I can't. We'll see. Okay. And I think we just have a couple more places to do the same thing. Here we can do it. I'll just do it manually. Hoping to go down to 2 now. Yes. 2 more to go. And then be on to more fun stuff. That one did not lower the amount of errors, so okay. We expected output, but no longer are we just outputting any old thing. We need, if we want to print something, then we use statement.print instead of statement.expression. Hey, one failed. Okay, one more to go. And this one throws an error, so we might be SOL here until we add back in that error handling. So let's count it as SOL. To do, once we add back in error handling, this should work, hopefully. Oh, was that not the one that was broken? I guess that was the one that was broken. Do we go from 1 to 2? Okay, that wasn't the one that was broken. I was misreading. Interprets a single node AST. Ah, U. We were expecting output here. Ah, so we just need to change this to print. Oh my gosh. My test passed. Ooh. Success. Wild success. Everything I ever hoped for and more. Okay. I don't usually like to commit with so much cruft in here from, you know, skip tests and stuff, but I think it might be wise because we have done a considerable amount of work so far. So I think I will. Okay, I'll get my tests out of the way for now. We can look at all the beautiful code changes. So in this file, we moved a lot of stuff around. Put a comment at the top. We removed from below. Added some new interfaces. Added a new class for statements versus expressions. We have a fancy type to allow children. Okay, I think I moved this from elsewhere. Yeah, I moved this from above. We want to rename this at a later date. Looks good. Made a new parameter. Looks good. And then lots of little changes. That's what we just did. That's what we just did. Yeah, so now our interpreter has the statement visitor and expression visitor. That is totally on purpose. It accepts a list of statements instead of just an expression now. And it runs through them. I'm saving this for later. Felt cute, might delete later. Probably don't care about this anymore. So this is where before we were outputting the result of executing a expression, but we just don't care about that anymore. Okay. New execute for statements, new visitors for our 2 statements. Looks good. These are our parser test changes, This is what I normally wouldn't commit, but either I don't commit it, or I do commit it and it's broken, or I don't commit it. Don't commit it, it's broken, do commit it, and it's skipped. I'll just make a note in the commit. Yeah, so before our parser would return an expression, now it returns a statement, or a list of statements. Makes sense. Here was our parsing error handling. Do I think we'll use this later? Probably not. At least not the try catch of it. Okay. Yep, these are our new parsing handlers. They require semicolons. Very exciting. Okay. Some more test changes. Here's another one. I probably should have just skipped this. In fact, let me do that. That'll make it more clear to me that I made this change. Oh, whoops. I just went to the unedited version instead of the edited version. Here we go. So let me undo this change. And then skip it. Okay. That's that. And of course we need to print to get output anymore. And our runner now expects expressions out of parsing. That was just a variable name change. And that's it. These are cruft from another thing I'm working on. Okay. Repeat statements, or the entire interpreter now accepts only statements. So unlike other, dynamic languages like Python or JavaScript, you're not allowed to type in something without a semicolon in our interpreter anymore. Note to skipped tests because we got rid of error handling temporarily. Okay. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to commit you and push you. By the way, you can check out the whole code base at my GitHub. Hey, Mad Flash, welcome to the channel. What's up is I'm working on the Crafting Interpreters book, craftinginterpreters.com. You can check it out. Building an interpreter for a language that the author has made. It's called Locks. So that's why you'll see, if you want to see my progress, it's at my GitHub. That's the repo. So instead of, you were reading it just now, or you were reading the book on your own? because that's awesome. And how did you feel about it? So the author does the first part in Java. Cool, cool, cool. Were you trying it out, or are you just reading it? So I actually read the book on my own, like you said, without doing any of the stuff. And I always thought to myself, I'll go back and I'll read it and do the thing while I do it. And I never, that was like a while ago. And now I'm finally getting to do that. So I'm doing it instead of in Java, you'll see I'm doing it in TypeScript so that we can have a web-based interpreter that is currently, it does work for some things. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel, MadFlash. How do you like the book so far? So I'm doing the first part in TypeScript and finish my thought. First part in TypeScript, I will be doing the latter half that the author does in C. I'll be doing that in Rust. And then as like a wild success goal, if I make it there, maybe it would be cool if I could compile the Rust version to WebAssembly and then run them side by side in my web app. I agree, it's cool. Is it a tough read for you, or is it stuff you already know, or somewhere in between? Interesting. So I'm at chapter 8, which is statements. So we just went from expressions to statements and took a whole bunch of time fixing tests, and now finally are you new to programming altogether, or to languages, or new to the world? Are you quite young? I mean, I was thinking in my head like you're a baby, but you're typing, so probably not. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's definitely like a different way to think about programming. The actual code itself is pretty simple compared to other, programs you might write, but it's all very specific what you have to do and why you have to do certain things certain ways. There's lots of, it can get, if you do the code wrong, it gets really complicated really fast. Which I do appreciate about this book is that, he's laid out the code. He's giving you all the code instead of letting you, shoot yourself in the foot doing things not quite the right way. What brought you to the book? Were you thinking like you have a language you might want to make, or just interested in the topic? Trying to find my place again where I was. Okay, I think I was here. Okay, cool. Do you have an idea right now, or just an interest? That's also what brought me to this book, by the way, is I had an idea for a language. Oh yeah, LLVM is a solid choice. I have never successfully used it, but everyone says it's the best. Did it bring you to, or not the best, but it's kind of like the workhorse, right? It's like the old tool that lots of projects have used successfully. I think that's a better way to say it. Okay, so I'm going to implement global variables. I hope I'm not spoiling anything for you, MadFlash. I'm going to implement global variables. If we have a variable declaration, that's how we get a new variable. But, oh, global variables. I was thinking like constant, like global, like almost standard library variables, like how JavaScript has a, global dot stuff, global dot, yeah, lots of things. Actually, this is less things than I expected to find on global. But no, this is saying if you make a variable declaration, the scope of it is implicitly global because it's not inside of anything else, which is true in JavaScript as well. And you can actually make global variables from anywhere by not using like var or let, which is commonly thought of as a bad thing about the language. I would agree. Okay, so this creates a new binding associated with a name, of course. We have, and then we can access it by just using its name as an expression. Did you try to use LLVM at Flash? So I'd be interested in how easy you found that. So I definitely thought of it as a thing to do. But I couldn't imagine how the language I wanted to make was very weird. I've never seen a language like it. And so, like, it's nothing like the language that, it's not like C syntax, so I couldn't think of how to do it with, how to like map it to the concepts of C-like languages or Lisp-like languages. Yes, crafting interpreters is definitely a long book. It does not, like, it's funny because at the introduction of the book, he says, like, we won't go into the details here, but actually there's so much code to explain, and he doesn't write any code without at least a paragraph or two explaining it. So yeah, it's definitely long. I do not expect to finish it I don't expect to finish it quickly. So global state gets a bad rap. Now, this is not what I was saying before. The thing I don't like about JavaScript is that you can accidentally set global state, but I wasn't saying all global state is bad. So mutable global state makes it hard to maintain, minimize it. Yeah, I agree with that. But when you're slapping together a simple program, just do it. Just do it. I remember, does anyone remember, or did anyone program their calculator in TI Basic in high school? That's like all I did. I made Snake. It was so slow in TI Basic. I never learned the assembly side of things. And I would sit there in math class not learning any math and programming instead, which is probably why I can't do math right now. All right, so front to back, starting with syntax. Yeah, it's also like this, this book is also, what am I trying to say? I feel like it would be really dense if I didn't have some background in some of these concepts. Like where you stopped representing code is like, isn't that where he gets into like the Bacchus-Nauer form and stuff, like grammars? Or no? But the grammar stuff, like, I feel he doesn't take a long time to explain it, and if I hadn't seen that before, I think I would have just my mind would have exploded right there. I probably wouldn't have gotten past it. Oh, okay, the AST stuff. Yeah, so I did something fun. You didn't answer, I don't think, if you were working through it with code or if you're just reading it. Because I did something a little different in code to how Nystrom did it. Okay. I think it's a good read. I mean, you have to like his style of writing, I think. You know, he makes a lot of kind of very deadpan kind of, I don't know, everything's breakfast items. Sometimes some flowery language. You're trying to parse other things, like not a programming language. If Monday var beverage equals espresso is legal JavaScript. Yes. This is not, so he is, the author is writing in Java, not JavaScript. Oh, cool. Oh no, yeah, this should work in Java. But, I'm sorry, in JavaScript. Okay. I didn't actually read this paragraph yet, so I was assuming that he was talking about Java. But this is not Java, obviously. Oh yeah, no, I'm aware of. I'm a longtime fan of Strager. Okay, wait, I was gonna look at your project for a second. Sorting imports for Python. Wow, no shade. No shade, Mad Flash. Oh, so you're parsing Python imports. I hope you're not trying to parse all Python. Where's the parse? I always expect there to be a function called parse. I don't think you're dumb. I hope I didn't say that accidentally. Hey, here's a parse. I probably don't know enough C, honestly, to read this with any speed. Although, I didn't know const was a thing in C. But I don't know that much about C. I did it in, I did C in college, 101, 102. Yeah. I mean, depending on your interpretation, it's kind of a suggestion in JavaScript. Or I should say, depending on your level of understanding, it's kind of a suggestion in JavaScript. Oh, hey, Bible Clan member, welcome back. What do people usually name things? So it's conventional to split up your scanner and lexer. Where do I have all this stuff? I think it's in runner. So you have a scanner which splits things into splits a string, a linear string of characters into a linear string, a linear sequence of tokens, which are just groupings of characters with maybe more information. And then after you get your tokens from the scanner, then you lex them, which means you put them into a lexical uh, uh, thing. It's too late for me. Strager, I warned you that when you said you were going to raid me, that I was, my brain was already off. That, again, hey, thanks for the follow, yes, and I appreciate the name. Technical term is a lexical goodie bag. I don't know that technical term. And I believe you, Strager, is what I'm trying to say. If you say that, whatever you say right now, I'm gonna believe you. But I think that makes total sense now that I think about it, because the characters in a lexeme or in a token are referred to as lexemes. Tokens, parser. Yeah, so scanning or lexing into a parser which produces an AST. Yeah. Or just, it doesn't have to be an AST. An AST is a kind of syntax tree that leaves off a bunch of information. That's why it's called abstract. Hey, thanks for the follow, Zappy. Welcome to the channel. So a live coding, are you going to tell me what a lexical goodie bag is? So basically, what I was trying to get at is that you go from a linear thing to a chunked linear thing, and then into a graph or tree structure. Really a tree structure. And that's usually called a syntax tree. And then if you continue on Mad Flash in the book, you'll find he explains that some parser or some interpreters just evaluate straight from the AST. Oh, live coding. I wish that I knew this code. I wish I knew how to do this in code. I would just do that. I would sit here hitting the pinata. Yeah, Zappy, I feel the same way. I learned about all this a long time ago, and I'm just reabsorbing it. I feel like I've had to learn it over and over again a few times, probably because I don't do this for a job like the author does. Okay, I promise that I'm reading a book right now. We'll work through the implementation from front to back. So we're going to go through parsing. Our scanner is mostly done, maybe completely done by now. So we rarely touch the scanner. But the parser, we still have to add things whenever we add new kinds of things like var. And this, you're saying this just returns stuff. Does this ever return value of stuff? Or you're saying guts? Okay. So these have to have statements, but that statement is not allowed. Right, okay. And now I'm finally to where Strager was talking about like an hour ago. Yeah, in JavaScript, variable expressions are expressions, whereas in this language and in many others, they're statements. which is, yeah, a lot of var is a statement, but this is still valid. That's weird, right? If does take a statement as a body, but I thought that was only true if you used the block notation. I did not know that an if with no... Now I feel like I have to do it just to see. Doesn't work, Strager. You were wrong. Okay, let's define Monday. That's how if else works. I think you're gonna have to expand on that for my sleepy brain. Monday equals 5. And it works. Do we have a beverage? We have a beverage. Yeah, I don't think I knew this. This is really interesting. So yeah, this is confusing because if y statement and is the body of the else. No way. That's kind of crazy. I'm never gonna look at an else if ever again. I mean, the same way again. Jeez. I'm a hot mess right now. Seriously. It's been a long first week back from break, I'll tell you that. And before I had all of my mental capacity to work on this because I wasn't working over the holidays. But now it's all gone. That's really pretty wild. We could allow the latter, but it's confusing. See, the author says JavaScript is confusing, which I can't disagree with. What is the scope of that beverage variable? No way. That's horrible. Var always makes function scoped variables. Can you not use... Yes, no, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I was reading from the book. But apparently that's, again, Strager, that's confusing. The author says it's confusing, so we're confused. Oh, I didn't actually copy your link. And now it's gone. So this is one of the poor things about this. Okay, hopefully I can copy it from here. Nope, can't copy it from there directly. Yeah, that's how I get ya. Hey, thanks for the follow, Danny boy. Look at this fun I get to do because I don't have a proper chat client. Well, this was a decision I made to run WeChat. This is Doomy Max. Good eye. This was a personal decision I made to run... Oh, now it has spaces everywhere. Get rid of my spaces. Personal decision I decided to run... No way. I'm not even finishing my sentences. to run IRC inside of Emacs with a non-Emacs thing. You can just add the chat in OBS 2 for links and stuff. So my setup is, yeah, definitely fried. Okay, so GJ here. Oh, that one had a, but did it have a space? Does it have a space at the end here? There seems to be a space at the end. I just have an extra space at the end. Hi, Aloe. Welcome to the channel. I have not tried Golang, although I did make my website with Hugo. So I think I might try Go next. I kind of decided between trying Rust and Go right before Advent of Code, and I went with Rust. Zappy said you can just add the chat in OBS 2 for links and stuff. Okay, so my setup here is everything on my screen here. Whoops. Everything on my screen is Pop! OS. The only, except for my camera. I guess I should just point at my face. Except for my camera, which is in OBS, everything is just a straight screen capture in OBS on another computer. I do work as a web dev. Hi Planet, welcome back. And you should use Pop! OS if you want to use Linux and you don't know Linux very well. Okay. Hey Planet, can you not caps lock and also spam? Or yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. So here's your linter. Yeah, I love Pop! OS too. I'm actually on their System 32 laptop now. Yeah, Planet. Don't be a troll. I don't know what Candace is. I love Pop! OS. I'm thinking about Pop! OS and reading parser. This error on class statement. Parse and visit body of what? Parse and, oh, this is under parse and visit if. Hey Planet, it's been nice knowing you. Okay. Huh. Try to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's my first ban. No, not quite. But that person has been on the stream for a while. So I was trying to, but when my stream has, you know, less people in it, less people chatting, then they were, let's say, less excitable. I think they were excited by the amount of people here, and they couldn't keep cool. Could I be worshipping? You definitely know a lot more about languages than I do. That's true, it is Friday. It is, you know, it's tough to know, especially if you have not used them a lot. Well, Strager, actually, I wonder if, so I had mentioned, I think you were away still, but I'd mentioned a language that I had wanted to make for a while and that I didn't know how to make. And Unfortunately, a lot of people have told me that it wasn't a very good idea. A lot of people who know a lot more about languages than I do, I should say, they haven't seen the good idea in it. So let me show it. So this is a really bad interface, but let me give you, like, if you will oblige me, like a 5 to 10 minute tutorial on this language that I wanted to make, or I have made. I did make it. It's here and it works. Someone tell me that you would like to see that. Okay, you're sleeping in 10, so I'll do it in 5. How about that? 1 minute? Okay, here's my elevator pitch. So concrete is a language that runs from left to right. Everything always runs from left to right. And the output, where the output goes, is actually represented in the source code. Hey, yes, and I like your name. So if I run this, you'll see that the output is 7, as expected. But if I step through it, this is, again, a bad interface. But here's the idea. It is like in Fix Fourth, except you'll notice this blank space, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So instead of having a stack, and this is the explicit thing, like I learned about Fourth, I thought it was so cool, and Factor, which is a modern version of Fourth. Not that there's anything wrong with Fourth. So I learned about that. I thought it was so cool. And then I got to thinking, I'm beyond a minute now. So it's kind of not postfix, or you'll see in a second. Let me step through it. I got to thinking that if you write complex Fourth programs or Factor or something, postfix, also called RPN, if you write complex programs in that, you will have trouble managing the stack in your head. You'll have to manage the stack in your head, right? You have to understand what's on the stack at any time, and that's a problem. So what if you put the data somewhere else that wasn't a stack? So I thought, I don't know how I came up with this, but what if you put it in the source code? Now, it's not rewriting the source code itself, but you're putting a place for it in the source code. And the interpreter will actually represent it like its source code. So without further ado, I'm going to step through this. So you'll see that currently the reader head, it's like a Turing tape, right? It's like a high-level Turing tape. The reader head is on the 3. That's this salmon box. Then when I step, pay no attention that we're on step 4 now. Yeah. But when I step through, you'll see that the reader head is moved to the right, and we have an argument list now. So the argument list is just a list, not a stack. And so yeah, we have those two things. 1, a value is moved to the argument list. 2, the reader head moved. If I step again, you'll see 4 is added to the argument list, and we step again. Now, much like Fourth, we're going to take things from the argument list and apply them to the operator. But you'll see that the value is then writes over the blank. Right, so the underscore represents a blank space in the code. So this allows you to do like chaining really easily. So, whoops, I got distracted. Yeah, it's definitely weird. So okay, if I take this, yeah, I use the comma instead of using parentheses. So the comma represents joining things into a list. So you'll see there's no comma here or here because those are not part of a list. So, or they're not part of specifically an argument list. Okay, so I can now do more things like multiply that result by 5. And now when we step through, you'll see this, where we're at now, looks exactly like when we were at the beginning with the 3. We have a 7 under the reader head, and so when we step again, we get a 7 in the argument list, and now we move forward. right? So that 7 just became like as if it was written there the whole time. And you can see very clearly how we got to this result, 35. Then, unlike a Turing tape, we could even write some, like a subroutine, basically. So you like your infix, wait, what's your infix fourth idea? Isn't infix fourth just, wait. Okay, here's a more complicated program. Square is a, we'll write a function or subroutine, whatever you want to call it, for squaring a number. So we'll take n and we'll multiply it by itself, like so. Now you'll notice that inside these square brackets, it looks just like code outside the square bracket. We have this new thing, which is square colon. This is probably not what you think it is either. Square is just a label for this cell, which you'll see in a second. So now I can call square. In the future, I would like to, I would implement this as like this. So you'd call n square. But for now, I don't quite have that, so we'll have to use a call similar to JavaScript's call, where we're passing in square to be called, and then additional arguments along with it. So here, I'm going to step through this. First, you'll see that by the way, we're beyond 5 minutes now. I know I promised, but we're getting to the advanced section. So you'll see that this whole thing, the reader head is now wrapped around this whole thing. And when I step, we actually get that whole thing past there. Actually, the label square shouldn't be there. That's a bug in the UI. But this should be what you see here as the current argument on the argument list. The whole function is there. And then we'll put n. Oh, that shouldn't be n. I'm sorry. That should be an actual number. Okay, so now what you'll see is that there's no comma after this. So this is actually going to get removed from the argument list, unused. That's what the comma does. It says keep everything on the argument list. Now this time we have square here. This is going to look at, much like a variable reference, this is going to look at what is the cell on the tape labeled square and get that value and put it in the argument list. So now we just get the value at the cell labeled square into the argument list. And now we call. Call takes the last argument, it applies it. So now you're gonna have to see that there's a bigger salmon box around this, and this says stack. So when I hit step here, we're actually gonna have a new stack frame. You see the scroll bar went bigger. We have 2 frames here now. This is the active frame, and its tape is now just the contents of the square tape from before, but it has an additional parameters list, and n is a cell in the parameters list. N is the label of a cell in the parameters list with the value 5. So now when I step, we'll get 5, we'll get 5, we multiply, we get 25, and then there's an implicit return here. Excuse me. So we should see down here that 25 gets filled in, and it did. This stack frame's still here, and once I hit step one more time, that stack frame is dropped. Thank you, thank you. Here to bore you. A more complicated program showing off the blank space. I don't know that I have one. It's kind of not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be complicated. It's kind of a simple thing. Why is underscore better than variables? Because it allows you to write programs that always go from left to right. So what I like about this is that, like when I write JavaScript, if I have to, let's say I try to do 2 things, like, you know, S equals F of G of N, like composition. Is this composition? I think so. Jeez, it's late. yeah, so how would I split this up with variables? So let's say I do var s, then I'm like, well, I want to split this up. Do var, t equals g of n first. Then I could erase this. I put t in here. That's a lot of editing. With this, I could say, thank you. I'm trying to be cute. So in concrete, on the other hand, I could say n g f blank. And if I wanted to use s later, I could label s. Let's say I wanted to use this result later, I could label this t. And I could refer to these from anywhere. I can insert that kind of thing without needing to rearrange my code. And, putting more direct compositions in the middle of these things is much simpler than a C-like language. As opposed to Lisp, it has a really straightforward execution model. Like you can actually, like I've taught you the entire language now. So you can hold all that execution model in your head. With Lisp, when, the simple execution model for Lisp is really simple. Uh-oh, really? I'm still here. Is anyone else reporting stream died? Okay, thank you, yes, and. Well, we'll continue this later, Strager. But yeah, thanks for observing, everybody. I appreciate it. This was like a project I've thought about for a long time. What about this? G2T. I'm not sure what the G2T. Oh, are you offering another syntax? Like sets in the reverse order? Or T gets G of n? Yeah, it's kind of Haskell-ish, right? It's just kind of reverse Haskell, if I'm understanding. I mean, Haskell obviously doesn't have like stateful bindings like that, but kind of the syntax is like reverse Haskell. So for me, it's the combination of that and the like simplicity of the execution model. The fact that you can literally step through this and watch it happen, and you can hold that in your head. Right? You can hold all this in your head while and do the same thing in your head that the computer's doing. Like that gets really hard to do with other models, like almost by definition with all the things we were talking about before, where you're thank you. I mean, I don't know if it's a compliment. Interesting could go both ways, right? But definitely thank you for taking the time to observe and take it all in. I do appreciate it, because I really do think there's like something here, but I haven't gotten a lot of positive feedback from other people. It's like, it's not the fastest, it's not the tersest, it's not the yeah, I mean, this idea of a blank space does exist. In fact, I think I got it from the idea of fried what are they called? Fried parameters in I think I saw it in Factor, but it might have been in Fourth. Whoa, I definitely didn't know that it was a math thing. What if something returns a pair? Assuming code or car returns the head and tail of linked list, print string. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense if print car can take a pair of two things. So I didn't really show that I actually don't remember if this works, but let's just say theoretically for now. So concrete is also homoiconic, like Lisp is. So like this looks exactly like code. It just happens to. I don't remember if I implemented reduce in this version of the interpreter in order to show this. So I'm not going to try, but this is the general idea. So a pair would just be two of these things. So what are you saying, Strager? Assuming it returns the head and tail, print car. Oh, so you're saying kind of spreading the pair over the two blanks. Yeah, I think I would just instead, if I was to write that, I would write it like, right. So yes. So I guess that goes back to like my problem with Forth is that you have to manage that complexity like that. You have to think of the stack at every single moment you're typing. Let me write how I think it would work in my current version just to get it on the page here. So we take S, we do the kutter operation, and then that outputs something, and then we want to print the first one, and then we want to print, so I'm just copying you so far, print the second one. So I think what I would do here is first save this to like, let's just call it pair. So I guess save is the wrong word, right? I'm just labeling this place so that I can use it at other times. So first I could just get the car of it, and then later I could get the footer of it. Oh, it's kind of going off the page here. Here, I'll just format this a little bit. Formatting is weird because it's kind of, there's no statement, split. And there's not even a solid split of expressions like there is in Lisp. I don't see the benefit of it if I can't do what I wrote in my example. So the benefit for me is that, let's say this was, hundreds of lines of code. This is probably a bad example because pair is showing up several times, but for me it's that I see pair here, I can go find pair, and then I can trace what happens to it left to right, and I can model that in my head. Like it took me years to be able to understand what JavaScript does in a linear way, where I can do it, I can consistently know what JavaScript is doing as I read code. Because JavaScript functions can appear anywhere nested inside of each other, right? Argument lists can be really complicated. So spreading that out left to right, I think, is a huge benefit of what Forth has. The problem with Forth is that you have to model the stack in your head. R dot underscore underscore. I don't think I know Ramda's R dot underscore underscore. Is that just the last thing that Ramda calculated? Kind of like this thing in other languages. I don't know if this works. Yeah, it does in the JavaScript console. Oh, let me check that out. It's an argument placeholder for curried functions. The following are equivalent. G123. Yeah, that's almost like what it is. Not really. This is a concept. This is the fried parameters thing that I was talking about. That does exist in yeah. This does exist in Factor, and it's kind of where I came up with the idea. Also, other languages have it too. I'm forgetting what someone showed me. Like some languages have, like with the pipe operator, where you have like, you know, I don't know, I can't think of any. What are functions? Some, and then pipe to, you know, divide by 5. So like here, this stands in for the result of sum. It's more like this. This would be the case if no, this is actually pretty close, clan member. This is really close, right? Because this in concrete would look like, here, I'll bring it over here. This in concrete would look like so the thing that's different with this in concrete is that this is returning a function. So like without that returned function, it would be like 2, 3, or sorry, 2, 1, 3, G. But if you wanted to return the function, then you would say like, you know, F is the result of G when applied to 3. And then let's apply F to 1. And then let's apply 2 to this result. So there's no good way, like fourth has the advantage of swap. So that's a big problem here, that like we need another variable name, a binding, I should say, to manage this so that we could swap it. Or we could have like an alternative kind of reverse call operator. Or not operator, but function. So then I could apply 2 to H. Strigger, I definitely don't propose that this is like the best way to do things. The benefit that, like, why I keep coming back to it is the idea of learning how to program and learning how a programming language works at the same time. That this execution model is so dead simple, like the Turing machine. Like, remember that when the Turing paper was written, nobody knew how to program. So he had to teach you how to use he had to teach you how to program in that paper, right? As well as present you the model for how it works. And that's why I think his you know, his boiled down system was so perfect for that application, because in order to read that paper, you have to learn what the machine is, how it works, and how to use it. Especially in order to come up with like you know, a counter argument, you would have to write your own program in it and show him that it wouldn't work. Right? So that's why I'm kind of infatuated with the idea of the Turing tape as like a kind of perfect teaching tool. But obviously it's not at the right level for modern applications. Right? It's too low down. Actually, in the original Turing paper, he actually writes that, and I wish I had this quote available right now. I did see what you wrote, Strigger, and I'm trying to think of a witty comeback. That's a good point. But he actually wrote like leaving a space in between his, like he would leave a space in between his cells in that original paper. And he actually said like, this is useful because you can then write something much like in, you know, if you have to write a temporary into memory, it's much faster because you don't have to write instructions to move to some far off place in memory to you know, write your little scratch work and then go all the way back and then go back to refer to it. So it's much more convenient to leave a space between every piece of like you know, real or usable or whatever data. It's in the section where he calculates like I think he does division or like a square root or something. So he like actually said that, and that was like after I had had this idea for a couple years. I read that and I was like, oh my gosh, bow down. But obviously, like you can see here, like it has this weakness of always being one thing. I think the idea, Strager, you had of like spreading is definitely worth looking into. Hello, Rambo. I don't know what that is. Are those eyeballs or like kidney beans? Oh, is this one of your things, Strager? I've never seen it before. But yeah, who wants to program? Let's all just write apps. All right. I feel like I can't. After that exploration, everyone's probably tired of hearing me say the same 5 things about that. I don't think it sucks that much. I think I'm looking at it in dark mode, and I'm kind of confused about what I was seeing. Also, I kind of had the idea like, I hope that's not inappropriate. Okay. I think nobody wants to hear me rattle on about this idea and say the same thing 5 more times, and I don't think I have the mind to turn back. So I'm going to look for someone to raid. Strager, if you have anyone on your list of people that you like to raid who is online. Yeah, thanks for, I mean, I really do appreciate everyone, you know, paying attention and asking questions. Like, that was really cool. Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah. Oh, Rob's actually like on. He's not just streaming the aquarium. Let's do it. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. We're gonna raid RWX Rob, the one, the only. Thank you, Strager, for the raid. Do appreciate it. You woke me up. If you did not turn my brain back on, definitely woke me up. So, all right. And thanks for all the new follows, and I'll see you next time.